Kia ora and welcome back to Get Into Games NZ 2022. I am still that guy J, joined by the always affable Kahu Bennett Tapsell, and we have seen a lot of great developers today, but wow, we actually have one now live with us here in Aotearoa. Their name is Maru Nihoniho, and you may know them for a little title known as Guardian Maia with their studio Metia. They have, of course, worked on a ton of other projects such as Māori Power Wars and Takaro, which was a 3D puzzle coding concept game for mobile. Now, Maru, are you out there? Have you joined us?
Yes, I'm here. Kia ora koutou.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you are up in Tamaki Makaurau at the moment. How is it there right now?
Oh, it's a little bit cold. I've got my big
Mm.
thick jersey on today so I can keep nice and warm for our interview. But otherwise, it's a really kind of sunny day. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, of course, we might get a bit heated up because we will be jumping into Mythos Party once again to distract you from this interview. You know, playing a game. Kahu is getting competitive again. I appreciate that about her. But of course, for those of you out there in schools at the moment, for all our rangatahi, if you guys want to drop a question in the chat, please feel free to. And if I see some quacks, I will appreciate it because I just find the quack quite funny. I don't know what it means, but it's out there. So I'll leave Kahu to start off these questions there, Maru, and we'll see what we can get out of you for Get Into Games.
Bye.
Kia ora. Well, first of all, let me just say that if you're in the gaming industry, it doesn't take long until Maru's name pops up. she's she's definitely a bit of a name in the gaming industry, and rightfully so. So in 2018, Maru was named the Forbes Top 50 Women in Tech. She was also awarded the Māori Entrepreneur Leader Award. She is a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, and she was also in 2017 the Innovator Award for Women in Games. So she's a very accomplished woman. So we're very lucky to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very surprising once I sort of found out that I was getting these different awards for what I do, because for me it was just like I just love what I do, and so it was really nice. It was really nice to be recognised, and it sort of was like, yeah, confirmation that I'm on the right path in what I'm doing.
Yeah. What we might just quickly do there, Maru, if you could go ready on your screen, because Kahu is wanting to destroy you within Mythos Party.
Yes, disclaimer. Kahu probably will destroy me because I've never
And me
played this
too.
game
I
before.
lost yesterday, so do not worry about that. But just quickly with that, what is your background in gaming? Where did you start? Where was your gaming journey? Where did that start from?
Well, my gaming journey started in the spaceys back in the 80s. Like,
Oh.
legit, I was like about 11 years old and I decided I would start playing games.
Right.
Well, I didn't decide to start playing games, I just started playing games. And it was games like Space Invaders, Galaga, Defender,
Yeah.
Moon Patrol.
Wow.
They were really
Yes.
cool. Look, I'm trying to figure out where's my hit button.
It is. It should be left mouse button.
Ah, there.
And right
There.
mouse button is defend. For
Okay.
those watching us right now, Xenoj is Pumpkin Man, Kahu is KFC Man, and Maru is a Roman Neon Soldier. So just for you guys paying attention out there, what else have you got on that amazing questionnaire sheet there, Kahu?
I am totally focused on the interview and not just the game. So Maru, you have some really interesting characters in your game. Can you please explain to us the importance of characters and getting them right?
Well, character design is a huge important part of the story because they make your, what do you call it, objectives in the game. Whoop,
Yeah.
I died.
Double.
They are the reason why you are there. It's sort of like you have an objective to do. There's a setting, there's a different environment, and of course you've got all these sort of objectives that you have to complete. And so in saying that, the design of the character is not just in the way the character looks, but it's in what the character does. So you've got to think about their weapons, their skills, their objectives, and everything else for them to be able to meet the goal in the game. Yeah.
Now I see that you use your games as a tool to introduce people into Māori culture. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a fun way to do it.
Well, it's really about telling a story, especially. Oh man, how did I fall down that? What is that? I don't even know what that
Just give it
was.
a horse there.
Okay, I'm going to find a little corner and
We are
hide.
concentrating, folks watching at home. We are concentrating.
I'm doing my best, even though it looks like, Maru, do you actually make games and do you actually play games? Yes, I do. But now I've forgotten the question, so please feel free to ask me again.
How you're using your games as a tool to introduce people to Māori culture.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important because games are interactive. Like it's another form of learning, basically. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to figure out my controllers, right? So in games in general, because you're in an environment where there is some kind of objective that you need to achieve, then that's the perfect, what do you call it? Perfect platform to get across important educational messages without being educational. You just play, you just do as you play, you learn as you play, and it's not an in your face sort of, right, I'm here to teach you all about mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll learn that by like some games you have to trade, you have to sort of put what do you call it? You have to save, you have to collect, you have to be really strategic with when you spend or when you buy. So you just learn by doing, and I think that's a really good practical way to learn.
Yeah.
I'm seeing games more and more in education, and I think that's kind of what you're picking up on, right? Is there's so much to learn through games,
Yeah,
and we shouldn't be scared of them. We shouldn't be scared to use them in the classroom.
yeah.
They're a very interactive way for people to learn.
No, that's right. And I mean, you can. Oops. There we go.
Oh.
I know I'm getting my A game on now. It's a really good way to learn. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's a really good way to learn. And to be honest with you, it would have been a way that I would have loved to have learnt when I was at school, because you are sort of like in control. You control what you're doing, what you're playing. So it's more like self-paced learning. And, it's a really, really good way to be able to see your own progress in your own time without being judged for, oh, you got that wrong, or you didn't do that properly, or, or anything like that. So in that sense, it's sort of like you learn in your own pace, or at your own pace. And so, playing games is just fun. You can do things in there, like achieve your objectives in your own time. You can, I don't know, explore, because that's a really big part of really big part of gaming is exploration. Yeah. Oh, 30 seconds remaining.
Now we do have a character design competition going on. We'll talk about that a bit more later in this session. But how do you come up with your characters, and what do you need to have like a great character?
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually a big question to answer, and it really depends on the game as well. So I'll use Guardian Maia, the character I designed, as an example. So knowing who she is and what her objectives are really is really helpful in character design. So she's a Māori wahine toa. She's in a dystopian Aotearoa, and her objective is to find her friend, and all the other characters that she's going to face as well have an impact on who she is. So in designing her, it was about looking at her personality, like what kind of person is she? It was about designing her whakapapa as well. Like how is she connected to everyone else and how is she connected to the world? And then, of course, one of the most important things is her look. Like what does she look like? What is she wearing? And what are the weapons that she has? Because she needs certain weapons to get through certain environments or to get past certain taniwha or bad people, for example. So there's a lot of thought that goes into character design. And yeah, it goes it's sort of more than just what the character looks like. It's like, who was that character? Because you are literally designing a digital person.
Mm.
You know, you have to give them, I guess, a personality depending on what kind of game it is. And because Guardian Maia is that sort of big game, then she had to have a very big personality. Yeah. The design of it, though, I mean, you know, the look of the character, it's, you know, get your pen and paper out or find inspiration of other characters. And they don't even have to be other game characters. They can be sort of like, they can be like movie characters or a character that you've read in a book, you know, to help design and develop that character's personality and what their objectives are. So there's lots of ways to, or actually, it could be based off your whānau, because Guardian Maia, her personality is that of a strong wahine toa.
Yeah.
And so I looked at my mum and my nannies and, you know, the strong woman around me, and I was like, yeah, Guardian Maia's got a bit of mum in her. She's got a bit she's got a bit of my auntie in her, you know, and, you know, using or looking at them as, you know, the personality sort of types for your character. And then, of course, I have a 21-year-old daughter who ended up becoming the face of Guardian Maia. Not exactly her face,
Yeah.
but we got her head scanned, and then we retropologized it into, you know, a workable model. And then we used the head scan for the final 3D model. But what
Right.
we did is we slightly changed her just a little bit because Maia's got green eyes and she's a bit more athletic. You know, she's got to be in that world because she's a defender and a fighter. So she's a bit taller, a bit more athletic. Yeah, so my daughter's face made a very good base for the start of her visually.
So it's kind of finding those different influences in your own life to
Yeah.
attach and allow those characters to kind of develop their own life.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think because Guardian Maia is set in Te Ao Māori and is very much about our culture, then it was sort of like, okay, then why not use, well, I don't like to say use, but sort of like look at my whānau or look at my own life to help influence that story as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because it's really about a wahine that suppose, you know, has to get over a few obstacles to get where she needs to get to, and, you know, being strong, motivated and inspired in a way too. And that's me as well. You know, I've had to get through a few obstacles to get where I am and to do what I'm doing, and sort of overcome them and just keep pushing through. So it's very much a similar story to my own.
And
Nice.
I feel like it's just so important to have strong characters like that, you know,
Yeah.
especially wahine. So, because I see Guardian Maia and, like, in a way I see myself. And there's
Yeah.
not many games where I look at the main character and I feel like that's me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's really important. And I
Well,
feel
you brought up
included.
well, you brought up something really important there, because I remember when I was, you know, young playing Spaces and then I graduated into Sega and PS1 and all that. You know, I always wanted to play a Māori game.
Mm.
There weren't any at that time, so I thought, well, I'll just make one. And easy to say,
Yeah.
but I'm really just making a game that I think is important for a few reasons. One is, you know, to showcase and highlight our culture, but also choosing. Well, it wasn't a choice. Guardian Maia was always going to be female. I never thought any different.
Yeah.
And that's only because I'm influenced, you know, by my own aunties and nannies and mum and everything. And so it was like seeing myself, you know, reflected back in a game, which I think is really important for our tamariki and young people, is to highlight that you can play your own stories about your own culture. You know, just like in the movies, or in film or in a book, except for this time it's in a game. And I hope that Guardian Maia is inspirational as well for our young, wahine out there that, have thought about, I don't know, making games or working in the industry or, telling our stories. So that's the other side of Guardian Maia, is that I hope it becomes an inspiration as well. Yeah.
I'm just going to say Kahu's having a really hard round. And she she just freaked out on camera because she activated for our viewers watching. She activated her Paragon, which means that's like her god move, and she fell off the edge. And somehow she still
It's like my
won.
ultimate ability, and I
You are
just
kidding me.
fell
That
straight off
is
the edge.
hilarious. Oh my gosh, we are getting towards the end of this incredible sequence with you there, Maru. Now, in regards to what you're currently working on, is there any advice for students on how they can create their own characters with, just at home with maybe like a pen and paper? Where could they start?
Yeah, I think, my biggest piece of advice for anything to do with game development at all is get a pen and paper.
Right.
Just get the pen and paper, and if it's a character you're designing, then start sketching. It doesn't matter how, artistic you are with it. It's like just start sketching down what you think the character would be wearing or how the character would look. But also, in saying that, put on that paper, who they are. So it's like, my character's name is, Tama, and he's going to save the kiwi in the forest. And this is a special weapon to do that. And then you start, connecting all the dots into other characters that are involved. And so all of that helps influence your design, because if it is a game about a warrior in the forest, then you need a forest. So what would somebody wear in the forest? And what kind of weapons would they need, if they need weapons at all, or special abilities or anything like that? It's sort of like it all helps in the design of your characters, 100%. And I think the best thing to do, though, even before you start sketching, is just write down the key notes of what the story might be about. Because it might be a little bit tricky to develop a character without the basis of a story there first. You got to sort of look at the simple things, and compared to character design, writing down ideas for a story is pretty easy, and it will help you. If you've got ideas in your head already, just get them on paper. And don't do what I do. I get this idea and I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. I'll write that down later. And then I'll come back later and I'm like, what was that idea?
And it was always a good idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was such a good idea and I can't remember the idea. So
No.
always write it down and start fleshing out your story. And then on top of that, anything else that pops to mind, because that'll all help, and then start sketching out your character. Unless you've already got that idea of your character in your head, then get it down on paper before you forget. Yeah.
Right. Well, there you guys have it. Did you have anything else there, Kahu?
So when you make a game, are there a lot of people involved in the ones that you've made?
So I'll give you an example. Sometimes we make games that are very small, very quick to make, and that could be a team of like 3 people, a programmer, an artist, and a technical artist, for example. But on a game like Guardian Maia, where at the moment there's about 4 or 5 of us working on the prototype for that game. However, when we go into full production, we'll be at least a team of 20, at least, at minimum. Because there's so much to do in that game. It's character-based, it's story-driven, it's, the mechanics, the gameplay, the game loops all need to be done, the level design all needs to be done. And so that's like individual people's roles, in the development. Whereas another game like Par Wars, when we made that, there were only 3 of us on that game. Yeah, so
So we were talking earlier about the value versus volume games, right? And so it sounds like Guardian Maia is a value one, which is story. It's a big story. You can spend many hours doing it. Whereas the volume ones are kind of like the smaller games, and you can, usually blast them out in one sitting.
yeah.
Is that kind of what you're describing?
Yeah, it is. It's very similar. Like you can, because in saying that, there's heaps of different kind of games too. Like Guardian Maia would be in the category of single player, story-driven, linear type story. So it's not like a sandbox game or a multiplayer game or anything like that. Which those games are even bigger.
Yeah.
Because multiplayer is like kind of trying to develop two games, because you got multiple players in it. So in saying that, we've gone for keeping it simple, where it's just single player, and keeping it linear. So it's not like other games where you get to sort of build civilizations or, things like that. There will be a little bit of that, but it's not the core purpose of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've gone for a very hard and very big genre, but we've tried to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas
it.
other games like Power Wars, it was 2D, whereas Guardian Maia is 3D. Whoa, get away from the edge! Oh my gosh. Guardian Maia is 3D, Power Wars is 2D, and so the graphics and designing that is much more simpler compared to bigger games like Guardian Maia. This game, for example, that we're playing right now, I mean, it's no easy game to make. It's still 3D. There's multiple characters. There's character customization. There's combat. There's all sorts of things, going on in this game. It would have been quite a big game to make as well. So.
Yeah. And I think they're still working on it at the moment. I believe I saw in the chat they said it was media design school students. So that's really incredible that this must be like a long-term project for them. So it's great work from them for pulling this off. So it is incredible fun.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a pretty cool game. I know I would smash this if I learned how to play it. Just talk it up and, I'll be really good. But at the moment, I'm pretty not good.
Yeah, no, we're just doing our best ourselves, I believe so. But we're having a lot of fun doing it. So
Oh, 1 second.
Did I take the lead?
Yes!
I'm sure I've taken the lead.
I think you might have won that last round.
Oh, gee. I won't even look where I came in the game.
Don't worry, I
third.
came third yesterday, Maru, so that's all good. Look at that.
How did you win in the air? I won 2 rounds.
Oh.
Maru, do you want another interview?
There
Well
we go.
done. It is difficult.
It's because I had more knocks. So I had one more knock than you. There you go. That was the incredible Mythos party. Joined by Maru Nihoniho, who's a part of Metia Studio, who of course worked on Guardian Maia, as she said there, while you guys were tuned in. And we'll see if we've got some questions in the chat there, Maru, to go through with you. We might just have to scroll up because, of course, we were in that game for a very long time. And unfortunately, they have all been distracted by the game. The game is Mythos Party, and it is a New Zealand-made game, much like Maru's work themselves. They did have money on Kahu.
Yeah,
to
they
win.
just started betting in chat.
On
I don't know we should endorse.
yeah, we definitely should not endorse that. Actually, we're scrolling down. There's way more chat. Okay, I missed out on that.
Should have the drumstick.
Yeah, I think
I should have. I was meant to, but
yeah. Everyone got distracted by the KFC there, Maru. They've got. But as for yourself, is there anything you want to tell us about what you're working on at the moment, so folks can check out your work or where they can see more of your work?
Okay, well, there is something running for Matariki at the moment. It's not our Guardian Maia combat game. We have a virtual reality experience set up at the base Hamilton.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it's a little, it's a VR experience, and you put on the headset and you're welcomed by Guardian Maia, and you get to look at or go around and talk to the stars of Matariki in that environment. So that's cool. Wow. That's one thing that's set up at the base at the moment.
That's so cool.
The other thing is behind our VR, we have a game preview there called Waihere. And Waihere is a game that features Guardian Maia as well, which teaches you about coding concepts. So if you're interested in coding and you haven't played anything like Scratch or those type of games before, then that version of Guardian Maia will guide you through coding, also in a very techno-looking Tron world. It's also about regenerating the Matariki stars. So every time you solve puzzles, the Matariki star will light up and energize the city. So it's quite different. But I wanted to develop that game for our tamariki because Guardian Maia will be rated R13. So we decided to do a version for our young ones. So it's quite exciting. So if you live around Hamilton or live in Hamilton, then head to the base, and we've got 2 things here that you can have a look at or have a tutu with. And our prototype will be ready for preview. We'll put that into beta or something. We'll get our Discord channel set up for those who would like to test it, but soon.
Cool. Well, there you guys have it. Maru, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all of your wonderful knowledge with us. I am sure our kids out there at school at the moment will appreciate all of that. So thank you so much for all of that.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on. Yeah,
Cool,
that's
and
nice.
thank you. Now, of course, there is this big shortage of experienced game designers here in New Zealand, and one of the most important things companies are looking for is well-rounded and a flushed-out portfolio making games, and completing them, no matter how simple they are, is paramount. And now, of course, why are we talking about this? Because it's going to lead into our first challenge of this week. That is our character design competition. Now, of course, this is all up on getintogames.nz, and there you have it there, Ko. Run us through the design your own games character.
So you can do it as a team or an individual. And on the first page, you're going to draw your character. And then the second page, you're going to write a short story about your character. So some hints on direction, what type of game or world are they in? So Maru was talking about how hers was in a forest. So, there's lots of greenery, lots of nature. What does your character do in the game? Any special powers or features? And if they do have special powers, don't activate it, then fall off the map immediately. What is their name? And perhaps maybe you can give reasoning for their name. And then once that's finished, please email it to levelup@getintogames.nz. All of this information is on the Get Into Games website.
And of course, if you are doing this challenge as a class, please share all these files via Google Drive and make sure you include the link. Yesterday, I had to send an email and I forgot to send the attachment. Very classic a ruse of the email, so to speak. So make sure you check out that website, check out those challenge rules and how you can get into games with this first challenge. You can be in to win some really great prizes. What those prizes will look like, I believe, will be updated on the website in due time. And for those who are still interested in the Discord channel, that is still a work in progress. Of course, we have to make sure the channels will be working the way we intend, but do keep an eye out because we do want to help you guys continue to get into games. Now, for the adults and teachers out there, if you want to join us back at 4 p.m., you will be joining, I believe, Blaze in production with some more notes around digital well-being, and that'll be a really good time for you guys to figure out how you can continue to help out Rangatahi learn within this exciting industry that just has so much growth ready to just boom within Aotearoa. So it's really exciting. Just grab a couple of questions from the chat while we do it. So what are the prizes? Like I said, they'll be up on the website soon, hopefully. Does it have to be original? Please, we want to see an original character design. It is very easy to interpret your own version of a character, but it still has some partial influence. Taking the notes that Maru shared with us, use the influence of your own life and the people around it who have helped you grow your own identity, shape something else within this character.
If you check on the website, you can actually see some examples of entries from last year's competition.
And Wolfie's asking, can we do this on PC? Of course, you can use any digital tool that is able to build your character. Just make sure you do get it sent through to that email address. All those challenge rules that we did just share will be on the website, so you guys can make sure that you do it the correct way. Hardcore Pixel, yes, you can do it yourself. We did say you could do it either as yourself or as a class or as a team. It's however you want to do it. I'll just also shoot back to a question you asked earlier about have I created any games or has Kahu? I played a lot in Dreams on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which is a game creation title. I would like to play away around with my Net Rose to see if I could build some old PlayStation games. I think that would be quite fun. What about yourself, Kahu?
I've never made a digital game, but I was quite
Oh,
creative. I remember when I was very young,
yeah,
at primary, I'd make books, like I'd write
right.
little books and then staple them together and do drawings. And there was one page where I think a mermaid had to get to like a potion or whatever. So I drew
Oh,
a maze.
yeah.
So I don't know, does that count as making a game?
Yeah. It might. I think it does, so it sounds like one. Can you get help? Yes, you can get help, but of course, enter it as your team or yourself just by following those challenge rules. And now we are starting to wrap up our second day of Get Into Games Aotearoa 2022, aka hashtag Gigaga 2022. And I want to do trivia again, Kahu. Is that okay? I want to do some
Yep, I
trivia.
do want to say one thing real
Oh,
quick.
yes, go for it.
Tomorrow, I've been
Mm.
looking forward to this one. So tomorrow is about esports. So make sure you
Nice.
guys join us for that one.
Are you involved in esports?
I am very much involved in esports, not
Oh,
as a competitor, but more
yeah.
as like hosting and
She's lying. She's a pro player for the Cloud9 folks. She's a League of Legends legend.
I'm actually a professional drawer.
Yeah. We've got esports OO in the chat, of course. And what else before? Do you have a Discord? We did say earlier we are still working on that just to make sure all the channels are working the way we want it to do. Who is doing the live PC build? We will announce that as we get closer to the time. And as for the trivia of the day, Nintendo didn't always used to be a video games company. They actually started off with playing cards, and they earned a lot of money doing that. But then the playing card market downturned because, of course, we weren't always going to need playing cards. We were going to need something else. So Nintendo thought, what can we do? And then they developed the best-selling console of all time, and the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then the Game Boy, which was the next all-time best-selling console of all time. So Nintendo, there you go. They just keep doing things even though they didn't make the PlayStation. So that has been your trivia of the day. And Kahu, do you want to exit us out of the show? Close us out for day 2.
Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check out that challenge. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We love seeing you guys talking in chat, by the way. It's so cool to see you guys there and interacting with you. So thank you. We will see you guys tomorrow for esports.
Ka kite, everyone.
Ka kite.